Hey, I'm Arsenic's autopsist. Uh, Sorry about the background, by the way, we just got moved into a new building. It's a big deal. Um, anyway, I'm sending you this video to convince you to buy the little specimen I've got here. Arsenic has a very long history, dating all the way back to the year 2500 BCE. But we're not really sure who discovered it then. So we tend to credit Saint Albert of Cologne with isolating arsenic in 1250 CE, which was the first time an element was isolated in fairly modern history. He isolated it by heating soap with arsenic trisulfide in the form of orpiment. Throughout history, arsenic has been very often used in assassinations. In fact, it's been used this way so much that the mineral in which it's most often found, realgar, has been referred to as kingmaker. If you look at people who were killed historically, those not killed by some kind of conventional weapon were probably killed by arsenic or pillows. The Romans had this thing with pillow assassinations. Anyway, Victorian England really had a thing about arsenic. See, they used it in everything from treating syphilis to mixing with chalk and vinegar and putting on ladies' faces. That's not a joke, by the way. They would do that to make them look paler so that you would know that they didn't work in the fields. So let me just tell you a story I learned about arsenic in that time period. There was this guy, this isn't a joke, by the way, this is a real thing that happened. There was this guy, and he was called Humbug Billy. And Humbug Billy had a stall in a market in Bradford, where he sold peppermint humbugs, which were a sort of sweet. Now, he didn't actually make the sweets, but this guy who worked like 100 yards from him, named Joseph Neal, made them. Neal employed two people, one named James Appleton and one named James Archer. Appleton was the one who actually made the sweets. Archer just sort of ran errands and stuff. Sugar was ridiculously expensive at this time, so a common practice among sweet makers was to adulterate sweets by substituting large amounts of sugar for something like powdered gypsum, which they would call daff, so people wouldn't know that they were putting powdered gypsum in the sweets. Joseph Neal got his daff from a pharmacist that was located about 3 miles from where he worked, and he would send Archer to pick this stuff up. One night when Archer was sent to get the daff, the regular pharmacist was ill, so his assistant, William Goddard, was on duty. Now, Goddard was just an assistant, so he didn't quite know where everything was located. So when Archer came in and asked for some daff, Goddard asked him if he knew where pharmacists kept that stuff. Archer just told him it was this white, powdery stuff that was kept in a big barrel in a corner of the attic. So, Goddard serves him up 12 pounds of a white, powdery stuff kept in a barrel in a corner of the attic. Sends Archer on his way. Now, little does Archer know, he is not, in fact, heading back with 12 pounds of powdered gypsum, but 12 pounds of arsenic trioxide. James Appleton, who made the sweets, mixed the arsenic trioxide in just like he would the powdered gypsum, and, when he finished, thought they looked a little funny, but, whatever. He tried one and got violently ill because arsenic. But, they sold them anyway to Humbug Billy, who got them on a discount because they looked a little funny. And then he tried it, and he got violently ill because arsenic. But, undaunted by his illness, he sold 5 pounds of peppermint humbugs in one night. First, 2 kids died, and everyone thought, oh, it's just cholera. Because, that was a problem in England at the time, and arsenic poisoning and cholera have very similar symptoms. Anyway, they thought it was cholera until 19 more people died. And over 200 people got sick. So they thought, What's the correlation between all these people? Turns out they had all eaten Humbug Billy's peppermint humbugs. They brought in some chemists and found that each humbug had about 9 grains of arsenic trioxide in it, which is enough to kill 2 people. That means that in one night, Humbug Billy had distributed enough arsenic to kill approximately 2,000 people. So in the end, it's actually pretty lucky that only, 21 people died. Sorry about getting sidetracked. I'm just really interested in my unfortunate patient's history. Anyway, at one time, arsenic was used in everything from medicine to food coloring. However, as people became more aware of the dangers it posed to their health, they moved from directly ingesting it to just spraying it on their foods in the form of pesticides and insecticides. Once that became effectively illegal, they started using it to preserve wood. It's toxic to insects, bugs, fungi, etc. But when the US and the EU banned that practice, they decided to put it into the feed of pigs and chickens. But again, getting sidetracked. Let's just move on to a few things I've learned about it. Let's see. From what I've figured out, it occurs most often in the aforementioned mineral realgar. However, in its pure form, it seems to be a metallic gray, rhombohedral, very brittle crystal, which would cost about $3.20 per gram. It's a solid at room temperature and sublimates at sea level at 615 degrees Celsius, with a melting point at 814 degrees Celsius at 36 atm, stands for atmosphere. It appears to be a highly toxic substance, mildly acidic. Its atomic weight is 74.922, and its atomic number is 33. Atomic symbol is AS. My autopsy suggests that the largest modern usage of arsenic would be in various alloys. For instance, lead components in car batteries could be strengthened by small amounts of metallic arsenic being present. Dezincification of brass could be greatly reduced by including small amounts of arsenic, and arsenic could also be used in steel to strengthen it. However, too much arsenic would make any of these substances quite brittle. One use I'm positive of, however, is in an alloy called gallium arsenide, which is a gallium arsenic alloy. It's a semiconductor, has a direct band gap. That means it can be used in laser diodes and LEDs because it can directly convert electricity into light. Integrated circuits that use gallium arsenide instead of silicon run significantly faster, which makes them significantly more expensive. The US military also made use of arsenic in several chemical weapons. In the 1900s, one such was lewisite, which we built up a stockpile of after World War I, and then in the 50s we bleached it all and dumped it into the Gulf of Mexico to let the fish deal with our problem. Arsenic is also often used in fireworks, and was also used in glasses until manufacturers were pressured by environmentalists to remove it, along with lead, from their products. One reaction to arsenic is 2 arsenic as a solid plus 2 fluorine 2 as a gas yields a gas called arsenic pentafluoride, which is an extremely toxic gas, mainly poisoning liver cells. Arsenic is a really interesting find. It's fairly predictable, and it improves the strength of any alloy it's part of. Some people say arsenic's a bit too dangerous, or too potent, toxic, you might say, but it's a very quick and very efficient substance, and only a little bit is needed to do any job, really, pretty quickly.